It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary. Dictionary. It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary.
Hello, word nerds. Welcome to the dictionary. What's going on with you, baby? Hey, everybody. I'm glad that you are here. Today, I'm recording this on Sunday. I'm just getting some work done on a Sunday, October 22nd, 10:46 a.m. And what do I gotta say? I want you to join the Patreon. $1 a month. That gets you early episodes, video and audio, either one. On that note, go watch this. Watch this on YouTube. Why aren't you watching this on YouTube? You can listen to this just audio on the Spotify and the Apple Podcasts and all those places, but the video is where it's at. It's where it's at. What else? You can contact me at dictionarypod@gmail.com is the email address. If you want to just say something, say anything, you can email me. If you have a joke for any word from now or the end of the E's until the end of the alphabet, email me your joke and I'll tell you your joke on the show, on the podcast, and of course I will credit you. Other ways that you can contact me, social media, Instagram, Threads, X, at dictionarypod. I have a TikTok, which I haven't really touched in a while. It's at Spejampar, Spejampar. And then, of course, there's Facebook, The Dictionary on Facebook. Because there's still people on Facebook. You can't get rid of it. It's still getting used. What else can you do? You can call the Google Voice number, 917-727-5757. Leave a message, and I would love to put it in an episode. I should probably check to see if I have any. What else? Merchandise. Everybody loves merchandise. Go to the TeePublic link in the show notes and buy some merchandising. And there was something else I was going to say, and I have forgotten it. And I think that's good. I think that's just everything that we need to say. Let's talk about the words. The first word is endocarp. E-N-D-O-C-A-R-P. I don't think this is a fish. Noun from 1830. The inner layer of the pericarp of a fruit, as an apple or orange, when it consists of two or more layers of different texture or consistency. Okay, what are we talking about? Well, there is a picture here. This is the cross-section of a cherry. Let's see. Number 1 is the endocarp, and it really just looks like it's the outside of the cherry, you know. Now, that's interesting, though, because, the endocarp is the inner layer of the pericarp. Is there also an exocarp? Because we learned that, of course, the en or end or endo prefix means inside of a thing. So I guess it's the inside of the outer layer of this cherry in this picture. That's the endocarp. But we have more carp parts. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Scratch that. All that. I read it wrong. I read that whole thing wrong. The outside is the exocarp. The exocarp exists. That is the outside of this cherry. Number 2 is pointing to the fleshy part, the vast majority of the cherry, the squishy, ooey gooey, red, tasty part. That is the mesocarp, M-E-S-O carp. Number 3, this is the endocarp. And this basically looks like this is the area between the fleshy, fruity part and the pit. You got the pit, and then you got the endocarp, and then you got the tasty part that we all think of as the fruit. And then what else we got? We got number 4, that's the seed. And there it says 1, 2, and 3 together. Okay, so the exocarp, the mesocarp, and the endocarp, all of those together make the pericarp. And that's really like the majority of what the fruit is. So let's go back to the definition. It's the inner layer of the pericarp of a fruit. So we now know that the pericarp is the exocarp, the mesocarp, and the endocarp. So the endocarp is the innermost layer of that. When it consists of 2 or more layers of different texture or consistency. So when the fruit has at least 2 layers of different types of things, then that's where you got this endocarp. So I guess in the cherry, the peel, the outer layer is the exocarp, and then the inner fruit is the pericarp, the mesocarp, and then the next layer in before the pit, that's 3 layers right there. So that one fits the bill. And the examples that it gave are apple or orange. Maybe on the apple, maybe the endocarp would be that sort of like tough inner core part that's not the seeds, but it's also not the part that most of us eat. I don't eat that part on an apple, but some people do. Don't give me the endocarp. I don't want to eat the endocarp unless maybe it's a cherry. I guess I'll eat that. I eat the whole cherry. I'll suck on that pit for a while, get it nice and clean. Okay, we talked for a while about endocarp because we had a whole picture to talk about. My sound effect today is going to be the next word is endocast. Endocast. Noun from 1949. The synonym is endocranial cast, which is coming up real soon. So it just got shortened down to endocast, I guess. Next is endochondral. 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 Adjective from 1882. Relating to, formed by, or being ossification that takes place from centers arising in cartilage and involves deposition of lime salts in the cartilage matrix, followed by secondary absorption and replacement by true bony tissue. Whoa. The centers arising in cartilage that involves deposition of lime salts in the cartilage matrix, followed by secondary absorption and replacement by true bony... Something about bones? Bones and things. Ossification, I think, is bone-related. Takes place... I have to break this down. I'm recording live. I don't have time to figure this out. The centers arising in cartilage... I feel like that's just worded weird. And involves deposition of lime salts in the cartilage matrix. Is this like in the human bones? I don't know. Let's put a link in the show notes for endochondral, just because you can learn more about it. It seems a little it's not probably very confusing. Something about bones. Endocranial cast, or just not endo. Endocranial cast. 2 words. This is a noun, yes, from 1923, 100 years ago. A cast of the cranial cavity showing the approximate shape of the brain. Oh, yes, okay. So I'm guessing that this is a cast that they take after somebody has died because it's on the inside of the skull, the cranium, and the brain is going to fit in there real nice. And so when you take a cast, you make a molding of the inside of somebody's skull. That's going to show it's like, yeah, the brain would fit in there pretty good. That's their brain shape, basically. Endocranial, on the inside of the cranium, and it's a cast, and it is shortened down to endocast. Maybe someday they will take a cast, an endocast of my skull, and be like, whoa, that explains so much. Next is endocrine, or endocrine, or endocrine. ENDOCRINE. First form, adjective from 1914. 1. Secreting internally. Something that secretes on the inside of either itself or the inside of something else would be endocrine. But specifically, producing secretions that are distributed in the body by way of the bloodstream, as in the example, hormones produced by the endocrine system. So this is the system throughout the body of things that produce hormones, and then they put them into the bloodstream because it's all on the inside of the body. they're not secreting through your pores, through your sweat glands or things. It's all on the inside. That's the name of this thing, endocrine. Okay, I never knew that. Never thought about that. The endocrine system is all about secreting stuff on the inside, specifically hormones. 2, of relating to, affecting, or resembling an endocrine gland or secretion. As in, endocrine tumors. Those sound like maybe you don't want a tumor usually. Endocrine tumor. So that would be a tumor that is related to the endocrine gland or secretion, or it affects the gland or secretion, or it resembles an endocrine gland or secretion. Okay. Maybe, yeah, I would think the tumor would be on the gland. You might probably want to get that removed. Okay, so that's when we're using it as an adjective. Both of them are adjective. And I mean, we kind of know the etymology, but more specifically, this is from the Greek word end, that's the prefix, plus the Greek word krinein, which means to separate. And there's more at the word certain. Well, I am certain that confuses me and that I've probably said that joke before. To separate. So I guess, does that mean that it's like separating from itself? The hormones are being separated from the gland? Maybe? I don't know. And then it's all on the inside. Okay. The second form of endocrine is a noun from 1922. Number 1, the synonym is the number 1 definition for the word hormone. And so that is the thing that the endocrine gland is secreting out of it. And they're telling your body what to do or how to feel or whatever. They do lots of things. Number 2, the synonym is endocrine gland. So the gland can just be called endocrine, and then the hormones that are secreted out of the gland are also called endocrine. That's not weird. Endocrine gland, that is next. 2 words, noun from 1914. A gland, as the thyroid or the pituitary, that produces an endocrine secretion. It is called also ductless gland. So it's a gland that has no duct, it has no hole or tube for things to come out of it. So does that mean that the hormones just come out of the gland from all its whole surface? They're just released from its skin, and then they just go into the bloodstream? Is that how these secrete these things? Because there's no duct. It's a ductless gland. I never thought about that. Never knew. The thyroid, yep, that's one of the glands. I want to say that that's sort of in the throat area, and then the pituitary, I want to say that that's in the brain. And so, and there's other ones too, probably, and they're all secreting stuff. They're like, I'm going to send you out, and I'm going to send you out. And sometimes they get overactive or underactive, or maybe they get tumors, endocrine tumors, and then that might mess them up somehow. People got weird stuff going on in their bodies. Most people probably do. If you got something weird going on with your body, you are not alone. You are very normal, I think. Next is endocrinologic, or endocrinologic, or endocrinologic. This, or in endocrinological, say that one too. Adjective from circa 1934, involving or relating to the endocrine glands or secretions, or to endocrinology, which I think is the next word. Yes, it is. Okay, so anything that's all about that stuff is endocrinological. Endocrinology. Noun from circa 1913. You can also say endocrinology. Endocrinology. Cry me a river, but only on the inside, through your glands. This is a branch of medicine concerned with the structure, function, and disorders of the endocrine glands. and endocrinologist is a noun. Endocrinologist. So yeah, they're studying those things. That's all they study day in, day out. They're like, oh, endocrine glands, I love them so much. When they break, it makes me happy. I get to see what's going on in there. And when they're normal, I'm very frustrated. I don't want them to be normal. I want to see what gets messed up with those endocrine glands. Now, they're trying to get you. They're trying to get them to work normal. That's the goal. That's the point. Next is endocytosis. 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 Endocytosis, noun, from 1963. Incorporation of substances into a cell by phagocytosis or pinocytosis. And endocytotic, that is an adjective. So what is this? Incorporation of substances into a cell by these two processes. And so I guess when a cell uses one of those processes to incorporate substances into it, they're using endocytosis. I think that's maybe how we're supposed to think about this one. And of course, I'm not familiar with those other words. Phagocytosis, Phago, phago, I don't know how to say it. And then the other one is pinocytosis. Pino, something like that. Okay. Next is endoderm. Endoderm. Noun from 1861. This makes me think about skin on the inside. It's on the skin side. See what I did there? Endoderm. I think of derm as skin. What is it really? The innermost of the three primary germ layers of an embryo, that is the source of the epithelium of the digestive tract and its derivatives, and of the lower respiratory tract. That's a lot. Also, a tissue derived from this layer. So just the tissue from that layer is the endoderm. Endodermal is an adjective. So, I've seen like the germ layer. I've seen that mentioned here. I don't remember all what that is. But it's the innermost. There's three primary ones. On the inside is the endoderm. I don't know why they don't call it endogerm. Are we going to see that in the next episode? Is there an endogerm? Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, so if an embryo that is the source of the epithelium, so the epithelium comes from the endoderm of the digestive tract and its derivatives and of the lower respiratory tract. So I think what it's saying, if I'm understanding this correctly, when an embryo is growing, and I'm just going to use a human as an example, as it's growing, there are like, maybe in those really early stages, there's three layers of the creation. I don't know. You could think about it like the fruit. There's the inside layer, there's the middle layer, and then there's the outer crust or mantle layer. But the most inside layer sounds like it will turn into the digestive tract and parts that are related to it, and then also the lower respiratory tract, so the lower part of the lung system, basically. Interesting. Yeah, I guess that's the endoderm. It's not specifically related to skin. But I mean, technically, etymologically, it is, because it is from the end prefix plus the Greek word derma, which means skin. And I'm not really sure why they did that. But that's what it is. That's what it is. Next is endodermis. Endodermis. This also seems skin-related. Noun from 1884. The innermost tissue of the cortex in many roots and stems. And that's not about humans or other living things like that. Sounds like it's about plants. Plants. The innermost tissue of the cortex in many roots and stems. So many roots and stems, they're just hanging out, and they have an endodermis. Yeah. Next is endodontics. 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 Noun from 1946. This is a branch of dentistry concerned with diseases of the pulp. I didn't know I had pulp in my mouth. What's this pulp? Endodontic is an adjective, endodontically is an adverb, and endodontist. It's not endodontist, it's endodontist. That is a noun. So, a branch of dentistry with diseases of the pulp. What is this pulp that's in my mouth? I'm just going to look up mouth pulp, because that's not going to give me any weird mouth pulp. What is tooth pulp? Okay. The pulp of the tooth, I'm looking at a picture. It's basically the innermost part of your tooth. So you got the enamel on the outside, that's the white, relatively thick layer, mostly on the top. And then the next part is the dentin. Looks like there's a pretty good chunk of dentin. And then in the middle is the pulp. It looks like that's where your nerves are and maybe some other stuff. So if you got a problem on that innermost part of your tooth, you need an endodontist to come check it out. I don't think most cavities go that deep, but if you got a real bad cavity, that's when they're getting into the pulpy area of the tooth. And maybe that's a root canal. That might be when you need a root canal. I've never had one, and I hope to never have one. But I think if it's so bad, you need a root canal when the pulp is getting messed up. Okay, I don't know if I've ever heard of endodontics, but it's endodontics because it's all about the inside of the tooth stuff. Okay. Next is endoenzyme. Endoenzyme. Noun from circa 1909. This is an enzyme that functions inside the cell. It's not an enzyme that's on the outside of the cell, it's on the inside of the cell, and that's why it's called an endoenzyme. Enzymes, they're important stuff. Oh, I guess we're actually probably relatively close to enzyme. We've got a few pages until we get there. Last word. It is endoergic. 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 Adjective from 1940. Absorbing energy is what that means. Endoergic. Endothermic, that would be a synonym. And I do remember seeing something about something in the last couple episodes, endothermic something. But I guess that word isn't coming up for a little bit. So, absorbing energy. Oh, we have an example. Endoergic nuclear reactions. Nuclear reactions that absorb energy? I think of nuclear reactions as being creating energy, but I guess they absorb energy too? Endoergic, that's endoergic, and I guess it's endo. It's got the endo prefix because why? Because it's pulling the energy towards its inside, because it's absorbing the energy, and so that's why it's endoergic. Sure, that's a good guess. Okay, well, I sort of sped through those a little bit. Let's pick one as the word of the episode. This is the best time. This is the best time because you know we're about to get a song. And the song is probably going to be terrible, but I'm trying. I'm trying to be better. Okay, what do we got? We had today endocarp, endocast, endochondral, endocranial cast, endocrine gland, endocrinologic, endocrinology, endocytosis, endoderm, endodermis, endodontics, endoenzyme, and endoergic. All right, lots of stuff that have to do with the insides of things. Let's see. I'm leaning towards maybe endocranial cast, possibly. Let's see. The endocrine glands clearly are very important glands. Don't do anything to mess up your endocrine glands. I don't know if there's anything that you can do. I think they just sort of are what they are. But, being healthy, if you be as healthy as you can, and that's probably going to help them out. If you're eating crap and not exercising, then they might be like, you know what, I'm just going to shut down, and I'm not going to do such a good job because they're not treating me right, so I'm not going to treat them right. Yeah. Let's see. Endocrinology, endoderm. Yeah, I think let's pick endocranial cast as the word of the episode. Endocranial cast is a cast of the inside of my skull. The endocranial cast, it's gonna be the shape of my brain. The endocranial cast. All right. Hey, that was great. You know what? You know what's happening now. If you listen to the show regularly, you know that I'm about to talk about another movie I watched. Let's see, where are we? Scrolling through the list. Leatherface? I don't know if I talked about Leatherface. I don't think so. Let me put in my little asterisk to tell myself that I talked about Leatherface. Let's see. This is kind of the origin story of Leatherface, and it's, there are moments that are pretty hard to watch if you are not a fan of like the gory stuff. But it's a bit more of sort of human drama. It's less horror and more, I don't know, suspensey thriller kind of thing. And but there's some horrific moments for sure. And some of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies get real intense. I haven't seen them all. Some of the more modern ones haven't, I don't think, been quite as good quality as some of the other ones. But this one I felt like was, of the few that I've seen, I feel like it was on the better side. Not to be judgy, but they took it another route, which I appreciated. And yeah, but if you don't like horror movies and stuff. I'm in October. I'm talking about October movies. We try and watch a lot of horror movies, about one a day in October. So that's what you're going to be getting for a little while from me. Okay, that's a good place to end this episode. Thank you so much. If you're watching, subscribing, just watching anywhere, please do the subscribe and the thumbs up thing and all those things. I appreciate it. Just do it. Just click the buttons. All the buttons. Find all the buttons you can click and just click them. Click them. Click them. That's the end of the episode. Thank you very much for listening and watching. And until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.